If you're looking at putting rock sliders on your Jeep, you're definitely going to want to check this company out. Not only do they make quality rock sliders, but you get a good deal on them too. Oh. What is up, guys? I'm Kyle at Fortune. In this video, we're checking out some new rock sliders for the YJ. I bought these months ago. I've had them for a pretty long time, but it just hasn't been a good time to install them. When we first got the YJ, it had some tube style frame mounted rock sliders that were already on there, and then it has some sort of thin metal rock slider thing on there right now that we have to look at. And I've kind of just been waiting for some other progress to be made on the Jeep before we put these on. Make no mistake, one of the first things I do to any vehicle I have that I'm going to take off-road is put the armor on. My point of view on it is I'm going to put the rock sliders on, the bumpers, any armor before I'm worrying about lift, bigger tires, even things like lockers. And the reason for that is it doesn't matter what lift you have, what vehicle you have, you can off-road in its stock form. You can always add those lift and tires, lockers later, but one thing you can't come back from is a lot of body damage. Usually getting a little bit of body damage is kind of a gateway to accepting a ton of body damage, and then you're gonna have one of those raisined rigs. I have nothing against them personally, but when I have a Jeep that's got a relatively clean body, I kind of want to keep it that way. I always put my armor on first. The Jeep already has a Smittybilt tire carrier rear bumper thing on it, and we're getting ready to build a new front bumper for it, but for now it doesn't have any rock sliders that are up to the task. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna check these out, but first thing I need to do is take all this old stuff off the Jeep, and who knows how long it's been on there. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of dirt. Around the fenders is one of those spots where it takes a while to get these fenders off because there's so many small screws and they're in a tight spot. Bunch of sharp corners to cut your hands on. You'll see I get a little bit frustrated with some of them and just kind of rip the plastic off because I'm not going to be reusing these fenders on there because I really just don't think I need them, and we're going to be getting new fenders later on. We got the little rocker thing that was on there. They're actually metal. It's just really thin diamond plate metal that was on there. I ended up taking the flares off of all four corners just because they kind of go over that part. And then the new sliders that go on, I didn't know if they were going to impede putting those on. We're going to have new fenders in the back and the front, hopefully soon, because as you can see, I got a cut mark right there. We've got more to cut off, and there's just not enough room right here. So we need a new fender that goes up way sharper and a little higher on the hood too. So we're waiting for that. For now, it's rock sliders. So you can see those previous ones that were on here, they weren't really rock sliders. The rock sliders that came on here went down there and those four holes right there on each side. And because of the massive body lift on here, the rock slider was about 3 inches short. So it only went down to like right here. And then there was that fake looking rock slider thing right here. We decided to go with that same style, just like the ones on the Samurai, the ones that bolt into the body, except these ones are secured underneath in 2 points for the body mounts as well. So I think the ones that mount to your frame are the way to go. Those are the strongest ones. But in high body vehicles like Jeeps and Samurais, there's just so much body left up here. So if we were to put a rock slider down there, we would have to have a tube come out around here and protect everything to keep it out of the body. And you can see this one's got holes all through it from the previous mounting. So for that reason, on a Samurai and a Jeep, I like to have the rock sliders that mount to the body. Now there is a huge con to that. One of them is because it mounts to the body, if you hit anything hard enough, it could cave the body in. So the frame reinforcements on the body mounts for these ones are great. Samurai doesn't have that. Something I'm working on. I need to tie those into the frame so they can take some hard hits. It doesn't matter which way you go, you gotta have rock sliders. That's like one of the first things I upgrade usually. On this side, you can see it already got crushed in. Not sure what happened or when, but this one's all dimpled in already, which is another reason why we're gonna go with a rock slider that covers it up. And these are them right there. So these are the YJ rock sliders from Affordable Off-Road, and it's not just a clever name. They really are affordable. These were like half the price of a lot of the other ones I was looking at. These were made out of 3/16 steel for the sides, 1/8 inch tube. The only downside to these ones is if you look at where the cutout is for the Jeep logo right here, that tube extends quite a bit forward, which most of the time would be great, but I think it's going to come way out here, like all the way to the edge of this fender. And if we get new fenders, it's going to need to get trimmed back. You might even have to cut that tube off right there and cut it right here and kind of like push it back and weld it back on. That's a future problem. Right now, these things look pretty stout. We just did the usual for prepping them, cleaned them up real good with mineral spirits, and then we used a self-etching primer from Rust-Oleum, semi-gloss black from Rust-Oleum. Next thing we need to do is get these body mounts loosened up. We're just gonna do all of them. I'm gonna put a floor jack in whatever wood or metal I have to kind of lift the body up a little bit. We could slide those 2 notches into the body mounts. I'm going to mark all of these holes that are in the rock slider. We're gonna start drilling. I hate drilling. It's something you can't go backwards from, so I really don't enjoy it, especially since there's already a bunch of holes in here. Something we've got to do, because that's how we're gonna mount these babies.
If you're putting this on a nice fender, you might want to be careful right here. I kind of scratch up this paint a little bit, but this whole fender is going to get replaced, so I was cool with that. The only snags I really ran into was this. It's kind of hard to see. This is a big piece of metal that holds this whole seatbelt bracket on. I had to cut a little hole right here to get that nut in because of where that lines up with the body. And then up here, this one's kind of just nothing. I drilled this hole a little bit smaller, and then I just screwed this in. So this isn't actually holding anything in there. It's just for looks right now until we get our new fenders. Get these cleaned up and maybe throw a little bit more paint on it anywhere where it might have got scuffed off, putting this up here. The last part is tightening up all the body mounts that we undid to kind of rock this back and forth, and she's ready to bash some rocks. We've got a lot more stuff coming. Next for armor is going to be this front bumper. Kind of trim this down and put some more angles on it and make a little bit more better clearance, and then some better recovery points on here. Hopefully after that we can start looking at stretching the Jeep with our new bumper on there. I've also got some new stuff. Frankie's decided that my garage isn't messy enough and he wants to rebuild this front axle here. So we got that going into the 4Runner. Hopefully shortly after that we'll get mine going up in this big mess right here. Yeah, so that's it for that install, guys. That was a super quick one-man job. I did this whole thing by myself and it wasn't too hard. It really didn't take me long at all. As usual, I've got that Rust-Oleum semi-gloss black on there that's super easy to touch up. You can find it at all kinds of stores and on Amazon, really easy. Got all that stuff down in the description for you guys to check out. And we've got a lot of stuff going on with the Jeep right now. This stuff's gonna start coming pretty fast. We need a new front bumper. We've got to get a spare tire, and we might have to modify the rear rack for that. We're gonna be stretching the front of the Jeep, a little bit of one in the rear, cutting, lowering, getting a belly pan raised up. We've got a ton of stuff for it. So if you want to follow along and check out those upgrades, definitely consider subscribing. That way you can check those out. In between all these things, I'm going to try to get it off-road as much as possible. We've got a video coming out for the Molina Ghost Run soon, and I know that's going to be a ton of fun, so definitely check that out. Well, if you have any questions, just put them down in the comments. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to you guys. Thanks for checking out our video. See you next time.